The crack of palm against skin echoes like a gunshot through the marble hall. Zara Munro's head snaps to the side, a pearl earring catching the chandelier light as pain blooms across her cheek. The restaurant holds its breath. Dominic Ashworth adjusts his cufflinks, his sneer dripping with contempt. Know your place, sweetheart. The room expects tears. Apologies. Submission. Instead, Zara's hand flies back with twice the force. The second slap reverberates louder than the first. Dominic staggers, his face a mask of shock and rage. Blood trickles from his split lip. The room gasps collectively, some in horror, others in barely concealed satisfaction. You bitch, Dominic's voice cracks as he signals his bodyguards. Two men in black suits move toward Zara like wolves closing on prey. She stands her ground, chin raised, even as her hands tremble. Then, clack. The sound of metal sliding into place silences everything. Every head turns toward the source. A corner booth shrouded in shadow. Park Sung-ho rises like smoke taking form. His navy suit is immaculate, his neck tattoo visible as he pockets something that glints gold in the low light. He walks to the entrance with measured steps, each footfall deliberate, predatory. His hand rests on the deadbolt. Locked. His eyes, cold, calculating, absolutely lethal, fix on Dominic. When he speaks, his voice is silk wrapped around steel. I didn't give you permission to leave. A pause. And I certainly didn't give you permission to touch what belongs to me. The golden key appears between his fingers, spinning once before disappearing into his pocket. You touched what belongs to the crown. Now you pay the tax. The bodyguards don't stop. The first one, built like a freight train, reaches for Zara's arm. His fingers are an inch from her wrist when Sung-ho moves. He doesn't run. Doesn't shout. He simply closes the distance with the fluid grace of a predator who's already calculated every outcome. His hand catches the bodyguard's extended arm at the elbow joint. The snap is clinical. Surgical. The bodyguard scream tears through the restaurant as he crumples, his arm bent at an angle nature never intended. Sung-ho releases him without a glance, letting the man collapse like discarded trash. The second bodyguard freezes mid-step, his hand hovering over the weapon at his hip. He meets Sung-ho's eyes and makes the smart choice, his hand drops to his side. Good, Sung-ho says quietly. You get to keep your arms. Dominic's face drains of color. He backs toward the locked door, his earlier bravado evaporating like morning mist. Do you have any idea who I am? I'll have you. On your knees. The command cuts through Dominic's threats like a blade through silk. It isn't loud. Sung-ho doesn't need volume when every word carries the weight of absolute certainty. I'm not. Sung-ho takes one step forward. Just one. But something in that movement, the deliberate intention, the promise of violence held barely in check, makes Dominic's knees buckle. He catches himself against a table, champagne flutes crashing to the floor. I said. On your knees. This time, Dominic obeys. He sinks down onto the marble, his expensive suit collecting dust and shame in equal measure. His hands shake as he presses them against the floor. Around them, diners pull out their phones, but nobody moves. Nobody dares. Sung-ho crouches to Dominic's level, his expression almost conversational. You're going to beg now. Not for forgiveness, you're past that. You're going to beg me to unlock that door. Please. The word scrapes out of Dominic's throat. Please, just let me. Louder. So she can hear you. Dominic's voice rises, cracking with humiliation. Please? Please unlock the door. Sung-ho studies him the way a scientist studies bacteria, with detached curiosity and mild disgust. Then he rises, brushing invisible dust from his suit. He doesn't move toward the door. Instead, he walks to Zara. She's still standing exactly where she was, her hand slightly raised, her breathing shallow. He stops beside her, close enough that she can smell his cologne, something dark and expensive. His voice carries across the silent restaurant, formal and final as a courthouse decree. Zara Munro is under the protection of the Park family. Effective immediately. He lets the word settle like snow on a graveyard. Touch her again, and they'll need dental records to identify what's left. He produces the golden key, lets it catch the light one more time, then turns the deadbolt. The door swings open. Dominic scrambles through it on his hands and knees, his bodyguard limping after him. Sung-ho pockets the key and extends his hand to Zara. "We should talk." Zara's hand hovers in the air between them for 3 heartbeats before she takes it. His palm is warm, steady, a stark contrast to the violence it just delivered. He leads her through the restaurant, past tables of stunned diners who suddenly find their wine glasses fascinating. The office is behind the kitchen, up a narrow staircase she's walked past 1,000 times without noticing. The door is heavy, reinforced. It locks behind them with a sound that makes her pulse jump. The space is smaller than she expected. One wall is all windows overlooking the city, the lights glittering like scattered diamonds. The desk is dark wood, expensive but understated. Everything is precisely arranged, no clutter, no personal effects except for a single photograph in a silver frame, facing away from her. Sung-ho gestures to the leather chair across from his desk. She sits because her legs are shaking and the adrenaline is finally catching up with her. Her cheek still burns where Dominic struck her. Her knuckles ache where she struck back. He doesn't sit. Instead, he retrieves the golden key from his pocket and places it on the desk between them. It's ornate, baroque, clearly antique. The kind of thing that belongs in a museum, not a pocket. 5 years ago, he begins, his voice quieter now, almost gentle. You were walking home from a double shift. Winter. Nearly midnight. Zara's breath catches. Her mind races back, sorting through years of exhaustion and struggle, looking for. You took the alley off 5th Street. Shorter route. He turns slightly, and she sees his neck tattoo fully now, intricate, beautiful, deadly. You found someone bleeding out against a dumpster. The memory slams into her like a physical force. The boy, young, maybe 19, curled on frozen concrete, blood pooling black under the streetlight. She dropped to her knees without thinking, her server apron already coming off to press against the wound. Her hand shaking as she dug through her purse for the cheap sewing kit she carried for uniform repairs. Most people would have called 911 and kept walking. Sung-ho continues. You stayed. You stitched me up with dental floss and a sewing needle, right there in the alley. You didn't ask my name. Didn't ask what happened. You just, he pauses, something flickering across his face. You told me to breathe. That I wasn't going to die tonight. Zara stares at him, really seeing him now. Looking past the expensive suit and the lethal grace, searching for the boy in the alley. His eyes, yes, she remembers those eyes. Terrified but defiant. That was you, she whispers. That was me. He picks up the key, lets it catch the light. This key belonged to my father. It opens every door in this building. My family built this restaurant 30 years ago. His eyes lock onto hers. You saved the heir to the Park Empire, Zara. And in my world, that debt doesn't expire. I don't want your money. Zara's voice is steadier than she feels. She stands, her server's vest suddenly feeling too tight, too constricting. I helped you because it was the right thing to do. That doesn't mean I'm for sale. I'm not trying to buy you. Then what do you call this? She gestures at the office, at him, at the invisible weight of everything that just happened downstairs. The dramatic rescue? The protection announcement? I'm not some damsel who needs. You think this is charity? Something dangerous flickers in his expression. Not anger, something colder. He moves to the wall, presses his palm against what looks like solid paneling. It clicks open, revealing a safe. His fingers work the combination with practiced ease. Inside, among stacks of cash and documents she probably shouldn't see, is a leather-bound ledger. He pulls it out, sets it on the desk, and opens it to a marked page. Read. Zara doesn't want to. Every instinct screams at her to walk out, to go back to her simple life of double shifts and dignity. But her eyes betray her, dropping to the columns of numbers written in precise handwriting. Sunrise Gardens Nursing Home. Her grandmother's facility. Monthly payments, all dated, all substantial. Her breath stops in her chest. How long have you? 3 years. He traces a line down the page. Since I found out where you worked. Where your grandmother was. His finger stops on the most recent entry. The private room with a garden view. The physical therapist who visits twice a week. The chef who makes her Korean porridge the way she likes it. Zara's hands grip the edge of the desk. She remembers the day the nursing home called to say they were upgrading to her grandmother's accommodations. No additional charge. She'd questioned it, suspiciously, but they'd insisted it was a routine reassignment. She'd been too exhausted, too grateful, to push further. You don't owe me, Sung-ho says, his voice dropping to something almost tender. I owe you a life. My life. And in my world, that's not a debt you settle with a check and a handshake. I can't accept this. But even as she says it, she's thinking of her grandmother's smile. The way she'd looked healthier these past few years. Happier. You already have. He closes the ledger with a soft thump. The nursing home? I own it. Bought it 2 years ago. Your grandmother isn't just a resident, Zara. She's family. My family. Which means she gets treated like royalty. Why? The word comes out broken. Why go this far? He meets her eyes, and for the first time, she sees something raw beneath the polished exterior. Because you didn't have to stop. You had nothing. Working doubles to afford a basement apartment, eating ramen for dinner so your grandmother could have medication. And still, you knelt in a freezing alley and saved a stranger's life. He pauses. You showed me that honor still exists in this world. Let me show you what protection looks like in mine. The nursing home smells like lavender and antiseptic, a combination Zara used to associate with despair. Now, walking through the wide corridors with their soft lighting and original artwork, it feels almost like a luxury hotel. She hates that she notices. Hates more that she's grateful. Her grandmother is in the sunroom, the one with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the garden. She's wrapped in a cashmere blanket. Where did that come from, doing a crossword puzzle? At 78, her mind is still sharp as cut glass, even if her body has betrayed her. Baby girl. Her grandmother's face lights up, but the smile falters when she gets a good look at Zara. What happened to your face? Zara's hand flies to her cheek. She'd forgotten about the slap, the mark it must have left. It's nothing, Grandma. Just a difficult customer. Nothing left a handprint on your face. Her grandmother sets down the puzzle, her expression hardening into something Zara recognizes, the woman who raised her alone, who worked 3 jobs, who took no shit from anyone. Tell me. So Zara does. Not everything, she leaves out the bodyguard's broken arm, the way Dominic crawled, but enough. The slap. Her retaliation. The man who locked the door. Her grandmother listens without interrupting, the way she always has. When Zara finishes, the old woman is quiet for a long moment. Show me this man. What? The one who protected you. He drove you here, didn't he? Show me. Zara doesn't know how her grandmother knows, but she's learned not to question it. She helps her to the window overlooking the parking lot. There, beneath a lamppost, is Sung-ho's black Mercedes. He's leaning against it, scrolling through his phone. Even from here, even doing something mundane, he looks dangerous. Her grandmother's grip on her hand tightens like a vice. That man has eyes like a shark. Her voice is barely a whisper, urgent and afraid. I've seen men like him before. Back in my day, we knew to cross the street when they walk by. She turns to Zara, and there's genuine fear in her expression. Baby, he doesn't stop until he tastes blood. Men like that, they don't protect. They possess. Zara looks back at Sung-ho. As if sensing her gaze, he glances up. Even through the distance, through the glass, she feels the impact of his attention. Her grandmother is right, there's something predatory in those eyes. Something that should terrify her. Instead, she feels heat bloom in her chest. Fear, yes, but something else. Something that makes her pulse quicken and her skin prickle with awareness. I know, Zara hears herself say. Then why are you looking at him like that? Zara doesn't have an answer. Or maybe she does, and it's too dangerous to say aloud. That she's tired of fighting alone. That for once, someone is fighting for her. That the thought of belonging to someone that powerful, that deadly, sends a thrill down her spine that has nothing to do with fear. He saved my life, Grandma. Yes. Her grandmother's voice is sad. And now you'll spend yours paying for it. The headlines hit the next morning. Someone filmed everything, the slap, Zara's retaliation, Dominic on his knees begging. By noon, it's viral. By evening, Dominic Ashworth is a punchline. Billionaire brought to his knees by waitress he assaulted. Know your place, entitled rich man gets instant karma. The comments are merciless. His company's stock dips. His country club quietly revokes his membership. Someone digs up 3 other assault allegations that were settled quietly, buried under NDAs and hush money. The empire he inherited starts showing cracks. Zara watches it unfold on her phone during her shift, a knot of unease growing in her stomach. Sung-ho sits in his corner booth as always, reading a newspaper like it's still 1995, unbothered. But she notices his men now, the ones stationed by the doors, the ones in the kitchen. She'd always thought they were regular security. Now she knows better. 3 days after the incident, she's closing up alone. Sung-ho had a meeting across town, something about a shipment, words he'd said quietly into his phone that she wasn't supposed to hear. She'd insisted she'd be fine. The restaurant has an alarm system. Cameras. Locks. She's counting the register when she hears the sound. Not a crash, more like a whoosh, followed by breaking glass. The Molotov cocktail arcs through the air in almost beautiful slow motion, trailing flame like a comet. It hits the bar, and suddenly everything is fire. A second bottle follows, then a third. The front windows explode inward in a shower of glittering shards. Zara drops behind the hostess stand, her hands over her head, as heat rolls over her in waves. Smoke fills her lungs. She can't see the door through the flames. Can't breathe. Can't think beyond the primal understanding that she's going to die here, burning in the restaurant where she slapped a billionaire and thought she'd won. Then hands grab her, strong, familiar. Sung-ho hauls her to her feet, and she has half a second to wonder how he got here so fast before his throwing his body over hers. Something crashes where they were standing. Glass, wood, debris raining down as the fire spreads with terrifying speed. He doesn't speak. Just pulls her toward the kitchen, his body curved around hers like armor. She feels impact after impact as falling debris hits his back instead of hers. His expensive navy suit, the one that probably costs more than her yearly salary, is already ruined, torn and smoking. They burst through the kitchen door into the alley. The cold air hits her like a slap. She collapses against the brick wall, coughing, her eyes streaming. Behind them, the restaurant burns, flames visible through every window. Sung-ho braces one hand against the wall beside her head, catching his breath. There's blood on his temple. Burns on his hands. His suit jacket is destroyed, the fabric singed and torn. You're hurt, she gasps. He looks at her like she's insane. And you're alive. His hand cups her face, thumb brushing soot from her cheek. His eyes are absolutely black with rage. He just made his last mistake. The penthouse occupies the entire top floor of a building Zara has walked past 100 times without looking up. Floor-to-ceiling windows showcase the city sprawling below like a kingdom waiting to be conquered. Everything is clean lines and dark wood, leather and steel. It smells like him, that expensive cologne mixed with something darker, more primal. Sung-ho doesn't ask if she wants to stay here. He simply guides her inside with a hand on her lower back, proprietary and protective in equal measure. His men carry up bags she doesn't remember packing. Somewhere between the burning restaurant and this moment, decisions were made for her. She should be angry. Instead, she's numb. Bathroom, he says, leading her down a hallway. Shower. I'll bring clothes. The bathroom alone is bigger than her apartment. Marble everywhere, a shower that could fit 5 people, a tub that looks like modern art. She strips mechanically, watching soot and ash swirl down the drain until the water finally runs clear. Her hands won't stop shaking. When she emerges wrapped in a towel that costs more than her weekly paycheck, she finds him in the bedroom. He's changed into black slacks and an open white shirt, his tattoo visible along his collarbone. She sees now it's a dragon, intricate and beautiful, coiling up his neck. He's laid out clothes for her on the bed. A soft sweater. Leggings. Nothing provocative. Sit, he says, patting the edge of the bed. Only then does she notice the first aid kit in his hands. I'm fine, she starts, but he's already reaching for her arm. There's a scrape she hadn't noticed, angry and red, glass still glinting in the wound. His touch is impossibly gentle. He cleans the cut with antiseptic, his movements precise and careful, like he's handling something infinitely precious. She watches his face, the concentration, the way his jaw tightens when she winces. One of his hands cradles her elbow while the other works, his thumb unconsciously stroking her skin. Her pearl earrings, she'd refuse to take them off, even in the shower, catch the lamplight. Against his tattooed hands, dark and dangerous, they look absurd. Belle beauty against beast darkness. You're shaking, she whispers. His hand still. When he looks up, there's something raw in his expression that steals her breath. I was across town when it happened. 10 minutes away. His voice is rough, scraped raw. 10 minutes where you could have, he stops, swallows hard. I've killed men for less than looking at me wrong, Zara. But the thought of you burning. He doesn't finish. Instead, he presses his forehead to her hand, the one he's still cradling. The gesture is so unexpected, so vulnerable, that something cracks open in her chest. This man, this dangerous, deadly man, is on his knees before her. Not begging. Worshipping. Sung-ho, she breathes. He looks up at her like she's salvation and damnation wrapped in pearl earrings and borrowed clothes. You're mine to protect, he says simply. That's not negotiable anymore. And God help her, she doesn't want to negotiate. 3 days of peace. 3 days where Zara learns the rhythm of Sung-Cho's life, the early morning calls in Korean, the men who arrive at odd hours, the way he watches her over morning coffee like he's memorizing every detail. 3 days where she almost forgets that men like him live in a world where violence is currency. Then her grandmother misses her morning call. Zara tries 3 times. 4. On the 5th attempt, something cold settles in her stomach. Her grandmother never misses their calls. Never. Something's wrong, she tells Sung-ho. He's on his feet before she finishes the sentence, already pulling on his jacket, already making calls. They're in the car within minutes, his driver breaking every traffic law to get them across the city. The nursing home looks normal from outside. Sunlight streaming through windows. Flowers blooming in the garden. But the moment they step through the doors, Zara knows. The front desk is unmanned. The hallway's too quiet. No nurses, no residents, no sound except their footsteps echoing off pristine floors. Sung-Cho's hand moves to the small of his back, where she now knows he keeps a gun. His men fan out, checking rooms, their movements military precise. Zara runs. Down the hallway, around the corner, to the room with the garden view. The door hangs open. The room is empty. Not just empty, ransacked. The cashmere blanket on the floor. The crossword puzzle torn. The flowers from the windowsill scattered like funeral offerings. And there, pinned to the stripped mattress with a steak knife, the kind from an expensive restaurant, she notices distantly, is a note. Sung-ho reaches it first. He pulls the knife free with one smooth motion, and Zara watches his face turn to stone as he reads. Pure, calculated rage settles over his features like a mask. What does it say? Her voice sounds far away. He hands it to her. The paper is heavy, expensive. The handwriting is elegant, educated. Mocking. You took my dignity. I'm taking what you love. Exchange terms, your territory, all operations south of the river, all contracts, all connections. Sign it over to the Busan Syndicate. Deliver the transfer documents to Pier 17, Warehouse J tomorrow. Midnight. Come alone, or the old woman learns what happens to loose ends in our world. Your failures have consequences. Park. P.S. Ashworth sends his regards. The paper crumples in Zara's fist. Her grandmother. Her sweet, sharp grandmother who does crossword puzzles and warns her about men with shark eyes. In the hands of... How long, she asks, her voice shaking. How long can she survive? Sung-ho takes her face in his hands, forcing her to meet his eyes. What she sees there isn't fear. It's absolute, unwavering certainty. She's not going to die, Zara. Neither are you. His thumb brushes her cheek. But everyone else involved? They're already dead. They just don't know it yet. He pulls out his phone, makes a call. 2 words in Korean, sharp and final. Then he looks back at her, and she sees the dragon beneath the suit. Get ready for war. Pier 17 at midnight looks like the set of every crime film Zara's ever seen: abandoned warehouses, rusted shipping containers, the smell of salt water and industrial decay. Sung-Ho's Mercedes is the only car on the access road, headlights cutting through the fog rolling off the harbour. Zara reaches for the door handle. His hand stops her. You stay in the car. Bulletproof glass, reinforced doors. My men have eyes on every exit. His voice is calm, almost gentle. If I'm not back in 20 minutes, the driver takes you to the airport. There's a passport in the glove box. Cash. A name that isn't yours. I'm not leaving you. Yes, you are. He cups her face, and for a moment, the dragon disappears and she sees the boy from the alley. Scared. Human. If this goes wrong, you run. Promise me. She can't speak, so she kisses him instead. Hard and desperate, tasting fear and fury and something that might be love if they had time for such things. When they break apart, the boy is gone. Only the dragon remains. He steps out of the car holding nothing but the golden key. She watches him walk toward Warehouse J, his silhouette swallowed by shadows. Her heart hammers against her ribs. Then the screaming starts. It's not Sung-Ho, she'd know his voice. This is higher, panicked. The sound of men realizing they've miscalculated badly. Gunshots crack through the night. She counts 4, 5, 6. Then silence. The side doors of the warehouse burst open. Men in dark clothes, Sung-Ho's men, flood in from both flanks. More gunfire. Shouting in Korean and English. The organized chaos of a planned assault. 14 minutes pass like 14 hours. When the warehouse doors finally open, Sung-Ho emerges carrying her grandmother in his arms. The old woman is wrapped in someone's jacket, conscious but clearly drugged. Behind him, his men drag out bodies. Some groaning. Some not moving at all. And there, zip-tied and bleeding from a broken nose, is Dominic Ashworth. One of Sung-Ho's men has him by the collar, forcing him to his knees in the gravel. Zara is out of the car before the driver can stop her, running across broken pavement. Grandma! I'm okay, baby, her grandmother slurs, reaching for her with shaking hands. This young man is very dramatic. Sung-Ho passes her grandmother to Zara, and that's when she sees it. His white shirt, no longer white. Dark and wet down his left side, blood spreading like spilled wine. You're hurt, she gasps. It's nothing. But his hand presses against his ribs, and his breathing is wrong. Shallow. Sung-Ho. His knees buckle. She barely catches him, his weight pulling them both down. His blood is hot against her hands, too much blood, and his skin has gone pale as paper. Stay with me, she demands, her voice breaking. You don't get to die. Not after. His hand finds hers, slick with blood, squeezing weakly. Called ambulance, he manages. 2 minutes. In the distance, sirens wail. The hospital waiting room smells like disinfectant and burnt coffee. Zara has been here for 6 hours, her grandmother sleeping in a private room upstairs, Sung-ho in surgery. His blood has dried brown under her fingernails. She hasn't washed her hands. Detective Sarah Chen sits down beside her without asking. Mid-40s, tired eyes, the kind of cop who's seen everything twice. Ms. Monroe. I need to ask you some questions about tonight. Zara doesn't look at her. My boyfriend was stabbed. My grandmother was kidnapped. What more do you need to know? Your boyfriend. Chen pulls out a notebook, flips it open. Park Sung-ho. Age 31. Owns several restaurants, a shipping company, and according to our files, half the organized crime south of the river. She pauses. We found 6 bodies at that warehouse, Ms. Monroe. 2 more in critical condition. And security footage that's mysteriously corrupted. Then I guess you don't have much of a case. I have witnesses who say Mr. Park walked in alone and came out covered in blood. I have Dominic Ashworth willing to testify that. Dominic Ashworth kidnapped a 78-year-old woman and held her for ransom. Zara finally turns to face the detective, and her voice is ice. You want to talk about crimes? Start there. Chen leans back, studying her. You're not what I expected. The file said you were a waitress. No criminal record. Perfect citizen. She taps her pen against the notebook. But you're covering for a killer, Ms. Monroe. That makes you complicit. Am I under arrest? Not yet. Zara reaches up, adjusts her pearl earring, the right one has come loose. The small, familiar gesture steadies her. She thinks about the boy in the alley. The man who locked the door. The way he held her grandmother so carefully despite bleeding out from his own wound. She looks Detective Chen directly in the eye and lies with the ease of someone who's finally chosen her side. Sung-ho was with me all night. We were at his penthouse until we got the call about my grandmother. He drove me to the nursing home, then the warehouse. He never left my sight. Each word is clear, deliberate, perfect. Whatever happened in that warehouse, it wasn't him. Chen's expression doesn't change. You're sure about that? Completely. The detective stands, tucking her notebook away. You're making a choice here, Ms. Monroe. Once you go down this road with him, there's no coming back. Zara thinks about her grandmother upstairs, alive. About the man in surgery who took a knife meant for her. About belonging to something bigger than survival. I know, she says simply. 6 months later. The restaurant reopens on a Tuesday. The fire damage has been erased, replaced with something even more beautiful. The sign above the door reads Monroe's in elegant script, Zara's name, though everyone knows who really owns it. She moves through the dining room in a black dress, her pearl earrings catching the light. There's a new ring on her finger now, white gold, simple, with a single diamond. Its twin sits on the hand of the man in the corner booth. Sung-ho watches her the way he always has, like she's the only thing in the room worth seeing. His suit is impeccable, his neck tattoo just visible above his collar. The scar from the warehouse has healed into a thin line across his ribs. She traces it sometimes at night, a reminder of the price of their war. She catches his eye across the room. He reaches into his pocket, pulls out the golden key, and sets it on the table between them. A question. An offering. A kingdom. Zara crosses the restaurant, slides into the booth beside him, and picks up the key. It's warm from his touch. She leans close enough to feel his breath against her ear. Ready to lock the doors, Mrs. Park. His smile is all predator. All hers. Always.